What up, virtual people? Welcome to episode 15 of Fandom Spotlight's VCR Redux, where we take your favorite franchises out of the analog era and bring them back to 2021. I'm your host, pop culture punk Chris Stiles, joined as always by my co-host with the most, film professor Ian Klink.
How you doing, everybody?
And we have two radical guests on the show tonight. First up, the Slayer of Six Strings returns to the VCR as Rick Barth and the Lion guitarist Mickey Torres is back on the show.
What's up, everyone?
And joining him for this intrepid event, all the way from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, co-host of the Pixel Lit podcast, Kevin Earhart is on the show.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
We are here to comb the desert, keep firing assholes, and to go full plaid ludicrous speed. That's right, we're here to extend the beloved Spaceballs franchise. But like the perfect combination on a suitcase, we need to put a lot of thought into this to make sure we get it just right. So, as always, that starts with how it came into our lives and what we love about it. So, Spaceballs. What, where, when, why, and how did it happen to you? We'll start with Kevin, but that also goes for you guys watching at home. Hit us up with your Spaceballs stories in the live chat.
Yeah.
Kevin, do you remember the first time you saw Spaceballs?
I was young, and I gotta say, I saw Spaceballs before I saw Star Trek or Star Wars or literally any of the things that it was parodying. I was that young. I was probably 6 or 7 at the time. It was definitely a VHS, worn VHS that probably taped off of HBO or something like that. And so it had that opening HBO like swoop down. You remember the old?
Oh yeah, the Model City.
And it's like, but it wasn't perfect. It was a VHS, so it was a.
Oh gosh, the best days when the tape would slow down because you watch it so many times.
Yeah.
Little blurb coming in and out.
That's my intro to Spaceballs. Is first Spaceballs, then literally everything else that it was parodying.
Wow. That is quite a way to dive into the Spaceballs world. Ian, Mickey, you guys remember your first time with Spaceballs?
Yeah, for me, I believe it was VHS as well, or it could have just been cable, because I mean, it's a pretty known fact that I don't watch anything really star related, like Star Wars, anything like that. So it wasn't like I didn't have, like, I mean, I knew the basic gist of this thing because pop culture told me who Darth Vader was and everything else. So like, but I just never saw Star Wars and any of that stuff. But I absolutely loved the movie, and I saw it, like I said, I think I saw it on VHS or HBO. It might have been HBO. But right off the bat, I mean, my thing that drew me into the movie was Bon Jovi's Raise Your Hands when they're flying through. As soon as I heard that, I was like, yes.
I knew you were going to bring up the soundtrack. Classic one at that, too.
That song's so badass that it made me trade my Chitara Thundercats figure to my cousin for the Bon Jovi Slippery When Wet cassette tape.
Oh, wow.
It was hard. I'm like, I don't really want to part with Chitara, but...
That's when you put down childish things and became the man we know today.
That was pretty much the time.
Wow, so Spaceballs has a deep significance for you. Yeah. That's amazing. Ian, Spaceballs have shaped you in such a profound way?
Oh, God, yeah. Okay, any movie with any member, and I've talked about this before, if you have an SNL original or SCTV cast member, I'm there, right? I was always there. I will always be there to the end of time. And so John Candy's in it. But what I remember is this was on a recorded VHS tape with the great handwritten on the side of what the movie is era. And
was it a 3-tape EP?
You know it. Yes. It was. I believe this one was 16 Candles, followed by Bachelor Party.
Oh,
wow.
Then it was Spaceballs.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh, it's I wish I still had that.
That's a classic.
Oh yeah, and the same thing Kevin was talking about. You get to the point where some of it slows down, it gets dirty at one point. You played it, you played it so many times. But that's what I remember. So I would always, that'd be one I would just pop in and watch all 3 movies back to back. You know, that's a whole afternoon in 1992.
You know,
watching all 3 of those.
Oh, that's a one hell of an afternoon in 92.
God, yeah.
Sorry to you guys tuning in at home live. I guess we were offline for a minute.
We got raspberried.
That's what happened. We got raspberry.
We got beamed up. We got beamed. We got beamed.
We had the bleeps, the creeps, and the sweeps.
We lost that.
Now
the what?
Yeah, we forgot to have coffee with our radar, so that's our bad, folks. But I do want to say hi to some people I see in the chat: Meg Klink, Alex Bonafonte, Nolan Roberts, Yali Perez. Some cool comments about this being, in Nolan's case, his first gateway into the Mel Brooks universe. Very similar story for me. Alex Bonafonte seeing it 1.5 times in theaters. Megan Klink saying hi, bud.
1.5 times.
1.5 times. I'm intrigued.
1.5.
Hey, that's 1.5 times more than I saw it in theaters. I think this is one of those movies I actually can't even remember my first time. It could have been cable, it could have been VHS, it might have been Jack Ettinger's birthday party. I don't know, but it was glorious, and it just got aged like a fine wine. Every time I went back and revisited this movie, I liked it more and more. I'm sure certain people in the chat would agree. Also in the chat, our buddy Craig Lucas. From Dad Mented and Punk Rock Geek Den, says he was a Spaceballs fan actually long before Star Wars. Also, I would agree on that as well. Yeah. It met my silly personality and helped shape it more. Mike Saunders says VHS. Angie Saunders, thank you for tuning in, Angie. She's an excellent mashup artist. Go check out her stuff on Facebook. She says her husband and ex love it. And Alex,
well, at least they bond over that.
Yeah, that's important.
You know? Yes, exactly, right. That's
you like Spaceballs? I like Spaceballs.
But you're cool. Don't ever talk to her ever again, you son of a bitch.
And Alex Bonafonte says, "Raise Your Hand" should be on the greatest hits of Bon Jovi, but it is not. That is a crime. It definitely should be.
I know.
Very much a crime.
It's a hell of a way to open this movie, though, because we zoom right in on the Eagle 5 and we get the 2 greatest fucking lead characters in cinema history, Lone Star and Barf. And what can you say but just perfection on both sides of the cockpit in this one? Yeah.
And Barf's the one that's turning up the Raise Your Hand. He's the one jamming into it in the back while he's eating his dog food or whatever.
Barf is the metalhead, and appropriately so, that he would be the one into hairband rock.
I always thought it was Bark at the Moon, though.
Really? Oh wow!
By Ozzy. That's why I was
similar riffs.
It makes sense. Yeah, it's a similar riff, and it would make more sense for Barf to be listening to Bark at the Moon. So I always thought it was Bark at the Moon until years later. Oh yeah, no, that's
finally put it together.
I was wrong. Yeah, I Sherlocked that stuff.
Bon Jovi was just too perfect for this time. For I think it was 86, I believe Spaceballs was, maybe 87.
Yeah, 86, 87. Yeah,
87. Yeah.
But so it was like if it was 82, Ozzy all the way.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But this was, and thank God it wasn't, because we're able to parody Return of the Jedi. We're able to parody the entire Star Wars trilogy. I mean, is it better than Star Wars? It's better than a lot of Star Wars movies. If you really think about it, like the amount of Star Wars movies
that's a brave statement. I love it.
I'm just like, I am the biggest Star Wars fan on the planet.
Yeah, if you were listing all the Star Wars movies, but also had to include Spaceballs in that list for whatever reason. Spaceballs would be in the top half, probably.
It'd be in the top 4, definitely.
Yeah.
But it's under Battle for Endor.
Oh,
it's under that. Okay,
obviously.
All right.
Ewok Adventure is.
Don't you glare at me, Kevin. Don't you?
Well, clearly the Star Wars Christmas special with B. Arthur is everyone's number one.
Star Wars Christmas special, the Ewok Adventures,
Solo, Phantom Menace, the
Phantom Menace and then Spaceballs.
Yeah, exactly. But that does get, there is this, because Star Wars is so vast and so ripe, it leaves the table wide open for Spaceballs. And it's a little early. We will get into this stuff at the half-hour mark, but I can't wait to roll up my sleeves and start playing around with these. I'm gonna feel like Dark Helmet playing with his dolls. Like, no, Mom, I'm not talking about Spaceballs sequels again. I swear.
I love this movie from top to bottom. I mean, the casting is like brilliant. Like Rick Moranis as Dark Helmet with the glasses and everything. It's like the best. And like,
this is prime Rick Moranis. This is before he starts getting into the real like kind of kiddie stuff with the Honey I Shrunk the Kids type. You know, it's home run swinging for the fences Rick Moranis, and the movie is better for it.
Yeah, 100%.
And was this in the timeline? This was before Ghostbusters?
After.
So
this is between Ghostbusters 1 and 2.
And then Little Shop of Horrors is in there too.
Yeah, Little Shop.
Yeah, I think that was this is post Little Shop, I believe.
Yeah,
Little Shop
that's
like
right
85.
after Little Shop.
Yeah, so he had like that run there where he was doing like some really good stuff.
It was Ghostbusters, Little Shop, and Spaceballs, pretty much.
There you go.
Those 3 movies in a span of 4 years.
You could retire. Of course, he retired. And I mean, good Lord. I mean, you have those hits. You just say goodbye, dude.
And then you add the Honey I Shrunk the Kids, and that's like the icing on the cake. That's like definitely retirement money right there.
Oh, because one of my favorite movies of his too is he's not even the funny guy in it. He's a straight man in it, and that's My Blue
Heaven. That is my favorite Rick Moranis movie.
Wow,
My Blue Heaven is my favorite Rick Moranis movie.
Shout out,
and then maybe Little Giants. But
shout out to one of our usual watchers and contributors in the chat. He couldn't make it to tonight's episode, but he did a My Blue Heaven parody. Anthony Ramirez, check him out. ADub9099 on Instagram. I know all the mashup parody on the internet nowadays.
Can I correct something that's wrong in this universe?
Please.
The man who played Colonel Sanders with a Z, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
George. And I believe it's George Wyner. I believe his name is Wyner, but it might be Wyner. However you pronounce his name, and I always screw it up. But that man is the funniest part of this movie. I will stand by it. I've said it.
He's the Phil Hartman now. He does all the hard work you don't see.
Yeah,
that's like it. Yes,
he's that basketball player that doesn't. His stats are like nothing and nothing. But if he's like misses a game, the team falls apart.
He's a glue guy.
Yeah, glue guy. Exactly. He's the Mike Dunleavy Jr.
We can't, sir. If we stop now, it's just he is just funny.
Put your seatbelt on.
Speed too slow. Like that's one of my favorite lines in the entire movie. It's just because the way he delivers it with such conviction. Like, no, light speed's too slow. Light speed too slow. It's just blown away. It's so good. And he has to feed
himself. Prepare yourself for ludicrous speed.
What's the matter, chicken? Prepare ship. Prepare ship for ludicrous.
And I love that Mel Brooks actually set up that joke just for he called him Colonel Sanders for that one joke. I love that.
I love my favorite scene of his is when he's talking about the assholes. He's like, "What's that guy's name? Lieutenant Asshole." And him? Oh, he's an asshole too.
I'm surrounded by assholes.
How many assholes are on this ship? It's like, I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
So good. And
I was just gonna say that's what I love about Spaceballs. This movie, kind of like what we talked about in Caddyshack, it's a movie that you can quote and you can go into any room. You can go to changing your gas or your oil at and just start saying Spaceballs lines. 5 out of the 4 people are going to say a line back to you.
Oh yeah. This and Caddyshack are easily the most quotable films that have ever been made.
All the jokes land too. All the jokes land.
Yeah.
There really isn't a dud joke in the whole movie. Not tonight, at least.
I mean, everyone gets a line too, like, oh yes, sir, Scotty beamed me twice last night. It was wonderful.
So one of the things that I love about Spaceballs is that if you watch all of Mel Brooks's movies, there's a lot of them that actually are kind of slow in pace. Like they have a little bit of, like Blazing Saddles is not a fast movie.
No,
it is the slow kind of And it's Gene Wilder's. It really leans into Gene Wilder's style of the slow delivery, kind of letting things burn. And a lot of other Mel Brooks movies are, sure, there's a lot of jokes, but the pacing has a little bit of larger gaps. Spaceballs feels like Mel Brooks experimenting with, like, we're basically hitting every scene as hard as possible. And I think that's why Spaceballs is a good entry point for people who want to, like, oh, I want to go watch all of Mel Brooks' movies. Start with Spaceballs, because the movies that he's referencing are they're the biggest franchises of all time, right?
Yeah.
Like Westerns, despite recent renaissances, popularly, they're still mostly who cares. Sorry, Ian. But
all right, it's been a good show. Bye, everybody. You know,
but sci-fi.
I'm just saying, there's only 2 Young Guns movies. You know,
Oh,
only 2 of them.
Exactly.
Sci-fi movies are huge, and they're still huge. They've always kind of remained huge, and they also have made the most money in box office history by genre. So Spaceballs is the easiest way, if anyone wants to watch a Mel Brooks movie, introduce them to Spaceballs first, because they will get most of it.
Don't start with 12 chairs. Don't go to. Although I will say this, History of the World Part 1 now is probably my favorite of Mel Brooks's, but I agree with you, Kevin. It's such a higher level thinking of a movie that
that's an older person's movie, or like you really have to, like, you know, grow into that movie. You can't.
Yeah. I bring you these 15 commandments.
10 commandments.
So good. So there is some more conversation going in the chat. Our buddy Dustinino from over at Retro Fiend Radio, shout out to them for their incredible canon and martial arts documentaries. And Dustin was on the show recently, and also Christian from Retro Fiend will be on very soon for our Time Cop episode, bringing a special friend with him. Long story short, Dustin says, my dad sat me down and made me watch this along with Blazing Saddles as a kid. Only Mel Brooks movies would he do this with. Your dad sounds like a good man and a fine father.
Did he make you, though? Did he really force you to watch those, or did you just enjoy them, sir?
Well, I can see Spaceballs for a kid right off the bat, but Blazing Saddles for a kid?
You know, it was the same thing with my dad, because it was the producers. Actually, was my dad, like the old school producers. The pre-Broadway version. As you know, everything is now a pre-Broadway version, right? Also in the chat, our buddy Craig Lucas says, to me, Spaceballs is the top totem pole of the whole Star Wars theme.
Yeah, they're just all looking around. What now? What? No. When did that happen? Then, you know, it's the best newer version of Who's on First.
Well, you know,
in
funny,
recent times.
You always think that stuff is like super easy. It was probably a little more complex than just like feeding the camera output into this TV, you know, like a long cable under the floor or something.
Yeah.
Because video technology, and I learned this from Aliens, in NTSC, it's 29.97, it's 30 drop frame. Film's obviously shot at 24. So you have to like create some sort of like interface to sort of like convert one to the other, so you don't get the scan line effect if you shoot it all. I always imagine, though, most of the time what they probably did was just had a blue TV and then they just posted it in. They just composited, you know. Nerd. ILM did the effects. I know, I'm a nerd. It was incredible optical effects, and that was one way Mel Brooks was able to keep George Lucas from suing him. It was a twofold deal. I think it was hire his company to do the effects, and then 2, he had to sign a contract saying he would never make Spaceballs toys. So I feel really robbed in the fact that I've never gotten Spaceballs toys, because I want.
But you know what's funny is he did it in the movie. He did make Spaceball toys in the movie.
They are in the movie itself,
and all the merchandising that's there, like Spaceballs, a placemat, Spaceballs, a toilet paper. You know, the Perrier.
Oh God, yes. The way he hits the can is so good. Just like, like it's just the best shit he's ever had in his life.
It makes me wonder if that agreement is still in place.
Well,
That's a good
With the
question.
sale of Lucasfilm, that's a very good question. And you know something? If Disney wants to come in and make the money, I don't care. Just give me the Spaceballs toys.
Yeah.
I'm a man in my late 30s, and I still need these toys.
Wasn't Spaceballs a Fox movie? So technically,
MGM.
Spaceballs.
MGM.
Oh, was it MGM? Okay.
Yeah. So
oh, it's CBS Fox. It was CBS Fox.
Yeah, CBS Fox.
That's right. Okay.
The glory days.
The glory years.
Yes, living better times.
I bet you, honestly, Kevin, I think you're right. It probably still is in place contractually.
Yeah, I mean, there's an Eagle 5. You can get an Eagle 5 toy on Amazon. It's like a Lego kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
you sure there wasn't one that like a statue or something like that was recently made with Rick Moranis' dark helmet? I
don't know, but
for some reason I feel like there was something made.
I would even, I'd be happy just for like a good fucking Lone Star jacket, like anything, like the dark helmet. I've seen people make dark helmet suits at conventions that are incredible. At the last New Jersey HorrorCon before the pandemic, there was actually a female dark helmet, and it was like beyond amazing. Just like it was total movie quality helmet and suit and costume and everything. Incredible stuff.
So what is our favorite lines, you guys? Like what would be your favorite quote? What would be your favorite? I know mine.
I know mine as well.
What are you? I'm a Mohawk. Half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend.
In a film of unsung heroes, I think Daphne Zuniga and Joan Rivers both don't get enough credit.
Yeah.
So I would have to give it a tie between like two of their lines. Either Daphne Zuniga singing, doing the bit nobody knows.
Yeah.
Or like, it's my virgin alarm. It's programmed to go off before you do.
I think my favorite line, the one that I use the most often because I feel it's apropos of now, is fuck. Even in the future, nothing works.
And that is in the chat. Alex Bonafonte dropped that in the chat. Incredible.
Yeah, mine is the one we've already talked about, is the assholes. That's my favorite. I love that. Great. I'm do it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Now, if I could also ask this, what is your most intellectual line from Spaceballs? Because I will argue again with the whole script. It's very intellectual. And the part that I have always found that I laugh harder now, I didn't get it as a kid, of course, but it's when John Candy looks, a Druish princess. Funny. She doesn't look Druish.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, oh my God. Like, you guys, if I was Mel Brooks, I would hit the computer and just walk out. Be like, I don't even need to do this movie. I just wrote the funniest joke ever. And to burn the office. I mean, on your way out. That's just genius.
That's a classic line. Yeah.
Yeah. Intellectual line. I don't know if I've classified them in my head as intellect. Sure, they take a lot of intellect and wit to write, but they're just floating around up there and they're funny.
I don't think of it in the professorial way either. Like I just think of like the great jokes. I mean, there's a few that I didn't get to a little bit older. I wouldn't know if I would categorize them as intellectual, but like
heathens.
Another one of my favorites got to be it's my industrial strength hair dryer and I can't live without it.
Yeah.
or little ones like I'm not captain. You call me you idiot or whatever that like whole exchange at the beginning is.
I do like the combing the beach. And I might have not got that like as a kid. I might not have gotten that, or I might have thought about. I might have had to think about that. But I just the end part of that was when he asked like the two guys, and they're like, "We ain't see shit." I'm like, I got.
Oh my
God. There is some more in the chat before we get to our sequels and or maybe possible prequel pitches for Spaceballs. Dustin Nino again from Retro Fiend says, I love the part when Dick Van Patten asks if they can bring the car back because he got a really good deal on it from his cousin Murray. That is great. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll give you your old nose back.
My cell
impossible to
phone
choose.
combination was that for a long time. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That track.
Incredible. I got the same combination in my luggage.
You remember it?
Okay.
That's true.
So do a lot of people.
But they never try it, Mickey.
Okay.
That's the point.
So a few things also in the chat before we get to our pitches. That cosplayer that I mentioned is named Rosemary Tusky, who's one of the showrunners of RetroCon. Something I didn't know. Thank you for letting me know that, chat. Also from Kyle saying we lost YouTube entirely. We're just on Facebook and Twitch right now. So sorry to everyone who I asked to watch on YouTube, but you Facebookers and you Twitchers, you guys are in the right seat, I guess.
You're the heroes.
There you go.
Yes, you guys are the unsung heroes. It'll be interesting to see if this episode gets posted on YouTube or what happens. But thank you for hanging in with us regardless. So I apologize if I'm not there in the chat. So it is sequel or prequel time or spin-off time. We should mention there was a cartoon show. I don't know if any of you guys saw it. I bought it on DVD and watched all of it. It was not very good.
I remember vaguely watching like maybe like an episode or so and just not getting into it. I think the best I think Robot Chicken did a kind of Spaceballs thing too. You know,
wouldn't be surprised.
Spike, I remember it was on Spike TV, and I liked Spike TV, but I always felt like Spike TV was the guy that came to the party that just tried way too hard for you to want to like him.
He's that guy from Office Space. You know,
I like
blonde, spiky hair guy.
Yeah,
I'll show him my O face.
Yeah, and if Spike TV had just sat in the corner and just waited the time for you to walk up and start talking to him, you'd been like, I like you. You're cool.
But I liked him.
But now Spike TV had to come right over.
UFC fights.
He
gave me 1,000 Ways to Die.
He
gave me everything.
Oh, it did give us 1,000 Ways to Die. All right.
Is Spike TV still exists?
No, it changed to Paramount.
Well, they got sued
okay.
a long time ago. Yeah. They had to fight in a lawsuit to get the name Spike TV back because Spike Lee sued them for a while.
Yeah,
they had to change their name for a little bit, and then they
sounds
got it back. And they're
about
like,
right.
actually, we don't want it that bad. Like, we'll be Paramount.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, they got bought out, or however these things go. But I have just been told we will repost on YouTube, so hopefully we will reconnect with some of those fans in that chat. But potentially, it is that time of the show where I say, pretend someone hands you a stack of money and says, write me a new Spaceballs. What do you do and how do you do it? You guys have any thoughts, any hot takes?
You make Dracula Dead Loving It Part 2.
That's
one way.
Let's just dig up Leslie Nielsen's old bones, and
I mean, you could show his coffin if he's got one.
It's just an hour and a half of Leslie Nielsen's coffin.
Yeah, exactly.
Sir, you had me at hello.
I didn't say hello. Anyway.
Well, I definitely I want to capitalize on what, in the movie, this one, they said, like, we'll see you in Spaceballs 2, The Search for Money.
Yes, The Search for More Money. We should have got it.
More money.
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, you obviously have to, if you were going to make a sequel, you obviously have to title it that. But I almost feel like the way it ended, like, I mean, a lot of those, people are too old. Maybe they make some cameos. Some are not here anymore. Whatever the case, I would like for his son to help write the script in some sort of way. And then I think I want a mashup. I mean, towards the end, you gave me Aliens and you gave me Planet of the Apes. So give me a spoof of Spaceballs 2 that because now it tracks, and Dark Helmet is in with the Planet of the Apes. And then you have Lone Star and Barf in there with the aliens. So like you got the two simultaneous stories kind of going on there.
Right.
So you have like Lone Star and Barf just like chilling with the aliens, and then Dark Helmet and the other three are with the Planet of the Apes, and somehow you have to convert them together. And I haven't figured that out yet, but I'm like, but I would love that mashup.
I love Spirit
Spaceballs. Well, shit. There goes the planet.
Exactly. That's one of the great lines,
That's the
too.
best delivery, too. That guy, whoever did that voice, is the best. Oh, shit. There goes the planet.
That is a great line. I love the spirit of that. If it was made in 1989 with a living John Candy, then I would fucking just take my money. I'd throw heaps of fucking money at that to make that happen. But like,
could be a spoof,
say
though,
Lone
too.
Star and Barf, it's like, who could play Barf now? I don't think people really want to see someone else take over as like an adult Barf.
But if you did it in a spoof way, because obviously it would be like, and then you even made like alluded to it, like, hey, did we change? Like, kind of like.
I think you could do something if you wanted to get kind of really meta about it. You could do almost like a Be Kind Rewind tie-in and have the movie like sweeted, where it's Jack Black and company like having to reenact all the characters, because the premise of Be Kind Rewind is that they work in a videotape store and all the tapes get erased. So they basically try to remake all of the movies themselves.
And rent them.
So you could and then rent them out to people. And when the people ask, why are the movies different than I remember them? It's like, well, these are the Swedish versions.
I would love for Jack Black to be involved with Spaceballs in any way possible. It's almost tempting to think of him playing Barf or Pizza the Hut as well. And Pizza the Hut is a character.
Pizza Hut died.
I think Pizza the Hut is cooler than Jabba the Hutt, and I love Jabba the Hutt.
But Pizza the Hut ate himself. And he died.
But before that, he was going to collect $1 million space bucks, or he was going to send out for you.
I see. So in my version of it, to answer the John Candy thing, I don't think you should have a Barf. I think if you did a Spaceballs 2, and by the way, Kevin, I love your idea. I think that's really kind of cool. But if you were to do a serious take, I think this is the time. And I don't know, the online group kind of goes back and forth nowadays because of how the actor reacted to it. But I think it's perfect time to make fun of a Jar Binks. So instead of a Barf character, it'd be a Jar Binks character.
Oh.
And, not to make fun of Jar Binks, because again, the online world has kind of changed their approach lately. But to have that kind of character, I mean, to be honest, it would be a CGI character, in my opinion. It would honestly, be
hello.
Well, no, sir. If you had books in your hand, I'd want to kick them out of your hand, Chris.
I think so.
You had me right up until CGI character. Honestly, I was like, yes, and then I heard CGI, and I'm like, no.
I think the only way that could be handled tastefully is if it was Ahmed Best who did it himself. You can't have like it's like it just feels like just punching down at this point, because Ahmed Best was suicidal after.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The online community
like
now.
it was like I can't imagine like it would be really tough to get blood from that stone. So I think the only way to do it would be like Ahmed Best is literally reprising Jar Binks, and he's in on it himself. But otherwise, I don't know. I wouldn't feel comfortable trying to do that too hard.
That's a very good point.
But doing some other character other than Barf. I mean, you can't touch.
You can't do.
John
And
but you could do like an R2D2 character.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Chris.
Just real quick, there's just a couple title pitches. Luke Baggins, 3 title pitches for Spaceballs sequels or spinoffs. 1, The Schwartz Awakens, which would be incredible. 2, The Last Helmet. And then 3, The Rise of Lone Star. I think he just wants to do the whole Star Wars sequel trilogy, but damn it, that's better than what we got. From Disney.
The Last Helmet. Good Lord.
Maybe everyone will just learn their collective lesson and stop hiring J.J. Abrams to do things. But that's just me.
I mean, J.J.
Which
Abrams,
is why in my version, I'm going to hire Joss Whedon. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Jesus, I'm kidding.
I want Regarding Henry Part 2.
I want the Zack Snyder Spaceballs. So there's just giant blue penis everywhere and all kinds of sirens singing to barf for an hour. No.
It's actually just all an allegory to Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead when you look at it.
No, I've given this a lot
You
of
be
thought.
proud. You be proud of that joke, Kevin. You be proud of that.
If you follow me on Twitter, you'll find you'll find that maybe 1 out of every 20 tweets is something about Zack Snyder. So
Oh my gosh. That's tempting enough for me to get on Twitter already. I'll give this a lot of thought though. Ian, no, go ahead.
Okay, I'll just say this one last thing, but I don't care what it is. The only way I want a Mandalorian Luke Skywalker approach, where it's a figure that comes in and saves the day, that's where I want Bill Pullman as Lone Star. I want them to totally pull that approach at the very end of it, where he just kills everybody with the Schwartz, and it's Bill Pullman.
Oh, so you would you do the where is Lone Star effect?
You'd have to.
They're just searching for Lone Star.
Oh, yeah. You'd have to. You totally got this version of Spaceballs would have to make fun of this recent trilogy. And I hate saying it. I didn't think they were terrible the way I think other people think that they're terrible, but there's a lot of fodder in it to be used. There's no doubt in my mind. There were mistakes, and I think you need to point out those mistakes. And Spaceballs, the search for more money would be the perfect way to make fun of what mistakes were throughout that whole thing, including nipple milk. That was weird.
It was practical.
Speaking of the nipple milk.
Yeah.
Lone Star? Is that how you see Lone Star? He's just drinking nipple milk, mad, crazy on an island with a big beard.
Look, and you do a Mel Brooks style where he's literally sucking from the animal and just doing that, doing that Jim Carrey,
Yeah.
You have to do that.
Yeah, that's fair. So I have a slightly different, approach or angle than everybody else. As tempting as it is to go with this sequel trilogy and all this stuff, I just think that honestly, at this moment in time, there's too many sour grapes with that sequel trilogy still. I mean, people they're divided about it. No one loves all of it. Everybody hates at least one or two of them of the three. So I would say at this point in time, I would do the prequel trilogy. And the reason for that is also for many, you get to bring back everybody without having to sort of replace people. People don't want to see someone else take over for Barf, but if it's a young Barf, they'd be a little bit more forgiving. And same thing with Lone Star, same thing with Dark Helmet, all that, Colonel Sanders, President Scroob, these guys all young and coming up. You could do a bit of that prequel, how Scroob stole the Senate or whatever,
Right.
And you could get way more trade negotiations this time around, and that's what we.
It could be all trade negotiations.
Yeah, there wasn't enough midichlorians or trade negotiations in the sequel trilogy. That's where they really went wrong.
Although I would like to see an older Dark Helmet, an older Rick Moranis.
You could do that. I think it would be almost appreciated more if you got the prequel thing going and then you did the sequel thing. So there's one movie per trilogy,
Okay.
And I think a prequel
6 more Spaceballs.
I'd be in. I'd watch all of them.
Oh my God, there's so many. I would watch.
I'd buy that for $2.
Listen, Netflix paid Adam Sandler $500 million to make a bunch of movies. Why can't they just throw that money at? I mean, Mel Brooks is in his 90s now, so that's one thing. But that's why you got to get Max. You get Max involved and have him kind of be the guy that's handling a lot of it.
Yeah, you get a team of fucking 12 of the best comedy writers and actors and people, and find new roles to create. If anything has to be CGE, or maybe even full on puppet, I would be okay with yogurt being a puppet or something, so you could still get the spirit of Mel Brooks more. You
could be CG too, because you could have, basically a hologram of him.
That's true. Yeah. That's very true. Or you could even do, it wouldn't even have to necessarily be all these characters young. You could even go way back and do just like like Lone Star's father, like Anakin Star or whatever.
Well, yeah, you know what? Honest, actually, think about this. We don't know who his
We don't know
parents
anything
are.
about them.
We know that he's royal blood, obviously, but we never met who they were.
Yeah. So you got his dad, and his dad's name is Lone, and his mom's name is Star. And
there you go.
That's how you
Or
get
his
it.
dad's like Bone Star or something.
Why'd you deliver again? You deliver that so jerk nerdish. Bone Star.
Bone Saw is ready.
Yeah. What you doing over there? Bone Saw.
I will say this. How funny would it be though if you have a scene where it's Bill Pullman as like, in like Last Jedi, Luke standing there trying to fight, and you have this whoever plays the Adam Driver young kid. All I know is there was wind blowing in that scene, and I kept thinking Adam Driver's hair is not moving. That hair should be blowing every single way that he is.
Ian.
It's the Force. Listen, all right. I get it.
I'm listening. What's up?
I get that it's the Force.
It's the Force.
The problem
Ian.
is
Ian, it's the Force.
There's science.
All
right.
It's the Force. It's also science. Ian.
See, this is why I don't watch Star Wars, because then the Star Wars geeks get into this debate.
Let's get into it. Let's get into an ASMR debate over midichlorians, Ian.
Well, you see, Kevin, the Schwartz is actually.
I love though,
in its
Ian,
essence.
you're a man after my own heart, because there's like first time ever in a movie astral projection going on in the scene. You're like, his fucking hair's not moving. What the hell? Like,
That's right. I'm
I
sorry.
totally don't buy it.
I don't buy it.
You
You lost me. That was my 1.5 viewings in the theater. I got up at that half point and got out. I'm still stuck on that. How do you watch a movie 1.5 times?
Well, you'll have to let us know.
Please.
If you
but
fall
we got
asleep
cut off.
in the
We got cut off from a lot of our chatters on YouTube, so they'll have to comment on the video after.
Yes,
the fact.
please do.
But Luke Baggins
Please
also
do.
says, well, there's also some more theories and pitches in the chat. Kyle says Spaceballs Z, the zombie apocalypse. It's got some potential.
Max.
and that's Brooks, his son.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that could work. So Luke Baggins also says they can pull a Wet Hot American Summer and have the same actors playing younger versions of their characters, despite obviously being older. That would be amazing. I would actually love to see Daphne Zuniga playing like, a 19-year-old again and just like straight face. That's great.
Daphne, leave the Christmas movies. Come back to the
She's
Spaceballs.
still attractive. She's still hot.
Oh, she's
even better. It's like fine wine.
Dude, Vespa, it doesn't get any finer than Vespa.
Hey, she made the Fly I. Now she was good in that.
Hey, let's not forget her incredible run on Family Ties. Daphne, we know you're watching. You're welcome to join us on VCR Redux anytime.
And
shout out
Melrose
to your run on
Place.
Family Ties and Melrose Place.
Melrose Place.
She saved that show before Heather Locklear also helped save the show, but it's the two of them. They both saved
The
it.
two show savers.
So also in the chat, Dustin Nino from Retro Fiend says, if one looks at Pullman's career, which one often does, myself included, doing Spaceballs and comedy to something as dramatic as The Sinner due to such a high-level black belt actor, which is why Lone Star is so epic. Man, that is fucking poetry to me. Pullman and Paxton are two secret goats, and it's crazy to me that Paxton is no longer with us, but like they always had that kind of thing, It's like they always get talked about together. It's like Dylan McDermott and Dermot Mulroney, they always get talked about together.
Pullman as the president, Independence Day, man, that was classic stuff.
Classic
President
stuff.
Lone Star.
Yeah, President Lone Star.
You know what actually works is because he actually plays it seriously. Now that you think about it, Bill Pullman took that role seriously.
Yeah,
and you know it's amazing. Looking, I'm checking out his IMDb right now, as one does. Spaceballs was his second movie credit.
Wow.
What?
It was his first. It was down. Don't tell me. Ruthless People.
Yes.
I love Ruthless People.
And then
Incredible.
before that,
he plays such a great idiot in that.
And before that, he made an appearance on Cagney and Lacey.
With Martin Cove.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was only his third thing that he did.
That's impressive.
And you know what's funny? His hair in Ruthless People is dyed bleach blonde, platinum blonde, white.
Yeah.
To play like a kind of beachy idiot
Surfer
bro
dude.
guy, surfer
Surfer, yeah.
dude-ish kind of idiot. And he plays one of the best idiots in film history in that movie. But I feel like he literally just didn't wash it out, and he's kind of blonde for Lone Star because of that.
A little bit, yeah.
Probably not.
What about year wise? You know,
This is right out. This is his second movie, and that was his
so
first. So
it could be maybe it was
86. It was Ruthless People, and 87 was Spaceballs.
like when you
Nice.
bleach blonde your hair. Sometimes if you don't do it correctly enough, it'll stay for a while.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
Those are bleach blonde hair problems. Something I'm not familiar with.
Did
Also
anybody?
Oh, what's up?
I'm sorry, real quick. Did anybody catch the quick cameo by Rhonda Shear
No, what? Whoa. Go back.
Where's
Where?
Rhonda Shear in Spaceballs?
in the diner? In the diner scene, I swear that's Rhonda Shear in the diner scene.
What, the waitress?
No, not the
Sure.
waitress. She's actually one of the guests. She's sitting in a booth.
she is credited as Woman in Diner on
Oh,
Spaceballs.
shit. Wow.
Now.
Shout out.
I know
The
my Rhonda
legend.
Shears.
The legend of USA Up All Night lives and breathes through
Yeah.
Spaceballs.
Of course,
Incredible.
you do kind of wonder, did what's the actor's name? John Hurt.
Right.
Did he enjoy that cameo in Spaceballs? Did he relish that, or was that?
I
just
think he did. I think he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably.
Yeah,
Oh no,
it's Mel.
not again.
You know,
I tell
Mel
you what,
Brooks
that's
calls
easy
him up.
money. You
Mel
show
Brooks
up,
calls him up. He's like, I just want you to do the scene from Alien again. He's like, okay.
you show up for one day, you know,
Yeah.
you hang out with Mel Brooks and John Candy and Bill Pullman and fucking Rhonda Shear. Yeah, I think that he had a great time.
I'd
doing
be
that.
there.
You already know the lines, so you know.
And then you
no.
get that like wink, but not again.
Yeah.
And then to pull the Warner Brothers Looney Tunes moment of the frog, just
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
damn you, Mel Brooks, you funny bastard. Oh.
it's icing on the cake.
Perfection.
Icing on the cake.
Absolute perfection. So some more in the chat. Eric Ridgway says he's the ageless wonder, but he would make so many better
Ridgey.
movies than Hubby Halloween. I think that's a reference to Sandler, the Sandler talk that we had before.
Hubby Halloween.
Alex said the projector died. Oh wow, that's why Alex Bonafante saw 1.5 times the projector died. Ian.
Okay.
You can sleep tonight.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm trying to. I'm doing the math on it. I'm like, did you
But
not?
then
like-
you get a free ticket to see it again. So it's so it's two
Also-
and a half
Because I can
times.
understand, I can understand a halftime because you
Yeah,
know you didn't
okay,
like the
unless it
movie and
happened
you
the first
left.
time.
But
Yep.
if you liked the movie and you came back, see, don't look at me like the math was wrong in my head.
Also, Eric Ridgway is razzing you a little bit in the chat. He says what he means by the Force is the brand of hairspray he used. Ian, calm down. And yes, because Star Wars is based off of real science. LOL. So it just got personal in the chat. I'm all for it. Yeah,
First
don't-
off.
yeah.
First off, Reggie,
Ian, you used hairspray.
This is Heartbreak Ridge for Ian to discover that. I thought it was moose personally. I was kind of a Dempsey vibe on that. I thought maybe some controlled moose.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of like a hair dryer and the mousse and the tousling of the hair.
No, stop defending it. It goes against all the things of science and nature, and I'm going to stand by this.
Well,
he cut you off by saying Luke Baggins says the special. That's what I ordered. Change my order to the soup.
yeah. And then they just said all together once the alien popped out that once and
Check,
everything else,
please.
check please. They're like, we're not gonna eat. Well, like, why are you gonna pay?
Well, you know, you guys actually mentioned something cool before, and you know, we are getting close to the end, so we should throw this in. There's been 30 years of sci-fi, like 35 years of sci-fi since this. So is there anything else that we need to like throw in? Like they didn't just give us Star Wars, they gave us Alien, they gave us, you know, a little bit of Star Trek, they gave us a lot of, you know, sci-fi stuff. So I mean, is there anything else of significance that we need in this? Like
Avatar.
you know, Planet of the Apes. Oh, Avatar.
Avatar. You'd have to make.
I'm with you. I think Avatar is like deserving of it, but at the same time, Avatar is somehow a movie that made $1 billion yet left zero cultural cachet. Like,
yes,
no one cares. It somehow it came.
True.
It was a 3D movie tech demo, basically.
Yeah,
and it was cool looking.
IMAX,
the biggest, most successful version of the Power Glove ever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Had James Cameron been like a little bit quicker on like, oh, okay, yeah, Avatar 2 came out the following year and it was the Avatar equivalent of Empire Strikes Back, then people would, but we're still like another couple years away from the next Avatar, I think.
But I literally don't believe it's coming. I
call it Nevertar.
I'm like, it's not happening. I'm like,
I really don't. Yeah.
And by the time it happens, that movie will never make the money that they caught. It
was 11 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Poor,
I mean,
actor, he's just sitting there waiting. I mean, he can't take another movie.
Avatar is a great remake, because I like the original Dances with
Ferngully.
Wolves.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna go Ferngully.
Yeah.
Oh, either way. Or the
I
Smurfs.
did it.
I
always
did
say
not
the
like.
Smurfs.
I did not like Dances with Wolves either. I don't. That's the low point of the two Kevins for me.
Well, that's because you're a communist. That's why.
You
can't with you,
Buffalo.
Ian really Ian enjoys the white savior movie.
Oh, stop it. That's not.
I like the white savior movies when they were called Where the Buffalo Roam, not Dances with Wolves. With
I like
Bill Murray.
westerns, Kevin. I like westerns.
So,
in the chat, Luke Baggins has a great suggestion. The Matrix. The Matrix is like the biggest sci-fi thing that's happened.
yeah,
You gotta
and they're
throw
making
some
another
Matrix
one.
in there.
It hasn't been overdone because you know what they're gonna do. They're gonna make fun of the and
I mean, even Space Jams 2 did the Matrix kind of spoof.
Yeah, did Space Jam 2 actually ruin it for parodies and spoofs going forward?
Space Jam 2 ruined a lot of things, but mostly for itself going forward.
I do believe in the spoof movie categories. As far as like the only thing that's still relevant is the Scream movies. We're getting another one of that. That's technically kind of a spoof of horror movies in a way.
Sure, yeah.
And if the Wayans brothers decided to make another scary movie or something like that, maybe. But those things, there's so many of those things now. The spoof movies have kind of run its course.
Spaceballs, The Search for More Money, better not have a Kardashian.
And I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of Mel Brooks's hesitance, because he was the king of that style, and then they became so common for years. Like when was the last thing? What was the last movie Mel Brooks directed?
Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Yeah, I think so.
Dracula Dead.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Which wasn't great, but it's great. It's great in the sense that you like it because, I mean, at least I like it because it's so ridiculous.
There could just be at the point where he's like, what is the point? These movies, like, the parody spoof ecosystem happens so quickly now that you are into post irony before you can even blink.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I've already seen how many Space Jam 2 memes and making fun of it and doing all that. How much have we seen already? And that movie just came out on Friday. I think
memes and stuff like that is the new spoof.
Yeah, that's kind of
essentially, it's like if you want to spoof anything, it'll hit harder if you have some sort of a comedy that's a regular comedy and you make mention of something spoofy or whatever like that. Like, you spoof something in that, but not a whole entire spoof movie.
I could see that. The juice is like, it's tapped out almost. By the time you got around to actually producing the movie, all of the good stuff would have been kind of tapped out from it already anyway.
Would have been a meme already.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I think the memes have the studios scared, but they should just lean into it. Like, I'm sure all those fucking family memes are helping that Fast and Furious movie. Like,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I got to see what that's about. Like, it's family. Okay.
There's conspiracy theories that it was the studio that,
Yeah,
that started that.
Yeah. Oh, I would not put it past them.
It's
dude.
good. It's good. It's good
I-
media. It's good.
I used to be on a record label that would leak all of their artists' albums before they would hit stores, thinking that this will help drum up interest if there's like these early, demos out, these early like bootlegs out there. And I don't know if they're right or wrong, but it's the way business was done back in the day. Also in the chat, though, I got to say this: Eric Ridgway says Space Jam 2 ruined movies. He says it was the longest LeBron James Nike commercial ever. I would certainly agree. There's a great video we did just the other day on this channel about Space Jam 2. Mickey was on it. Be sure to tune in and check that out. But we are almost out of time. I think we have satirized a good chunk of the sci-fi of the last 30 years. And if there's anything we didn't get into, roast us in the comments for it, for being glaringly blind as to this property or that franchise. But before we say goodnight, Kevin, is there anything you want to say to the people at home? Any projects you got upcoming you want to let people know about?
Yeah, Pixelate. It's my new podcast. We just actually released a new episode today. Basically, the long and short of it is we read books that are adapted from video games, which
genius.
Yeah. So the first series that we just finished today was on Resident Evil: The Umbrella Conspiracy, which was based on the first Resident Evil game released in 1996.
Oh my God.
So episode 5 of that just dropped today. Next week we start with Halo: The Fall of Reach. And you can find out more by following us on Twitter at PixelitPod or on Instagram at PixelitPod. We're PixelitPod on pretty much every platform. And if you want to find us on the different podcast platforms, you just go to pixelit.info and all the links will be listed right there.
Wow, very cool stuff.
I do look forward to when you do the episode on Back to the Future, the game novelization, where he throws bees.
He's throwing pies in the cafe.
We will be doing the Nintendo Worlds of Power.
Yes.
Yes. Wow. In January, I believe we'll be going through those, and there's like Metal Gear and,
nice.
And a few classics like that. So looking forward to it.
It really is a great podcast. 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
Sure, you put the 5 stars in.
Yeah, I heard you saying it was only a 4-star at best.
It's a 5 out of 5.
Ian has a little trouble clicking between the 4 and 5 options sometimes, so we like to
occasionally, it's tough.
5.
That sounds cool though. I love the video game stuff. I actually just did a video game movie poster mashup parody today, as I do one of those every day. And also I should mention there was some talk in the chat about throwing Halo and Mass Effect into the Spaceballs sequel spin-off parody. It's like, that's got potential for sure.
Oh my gosh, that's actually what you'd have to parody nowadays. It's actually like video games.
Video games have better sci-fi than the movies.
4.9.
There it is.
He
4
gave
out of 5 stars.
Oh,
Professor Klink.
No, it's 4.9 out of 5, which means
means you're as cold as ice and not a true friend.
I made a mistake. I apologize.
Anyway, guys, that just about wraps it up for this week. Be sure to tune in next Wednesday at 9 p.m. as we keep the comedy kicking while we do our best to resurrect the Airplane franchise. Surely you don't want to miss out. In the meantime, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow the Pixelit Podcast, Fandom Spotlight, the Hollow 9 Network, and Pop Culture Punk. Till then, back up those Betamax, rewind those Laserdiscs, and we'll see you at the movies.
Hi, this is Aaron Ashmore, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe like now. Oh, and have fun and follow your fandom.